No, when Jesus was preaching the gospel, he saw people and he saw their physical needs also. Those who were sick, those who needed food, and he provided. So while our main work is discipling the church leaders and the church so that they can be fully equipped for holistic transformation, that also comes with not neglecting the physical needs that they have. Thank you for this opportunity for me to share my story of what we are doing in Uganda. My name is Liberty Muhereza. I serve as the team leader and CEO of Equip and Send Ministries in Uganda, but I am also an ordained minister in the Anglican Church of Uganda. I am married to Emily. We've been married for 14 years, about to make 15 years early next year, and we have 4 children. And I was born in a Christian family. My parents are pastors. They are now retired. My dad served for 40 years as an Anglican pastor in the Church of Uganda. And I respected the ministry of a pastor. I saw the respect, the honor that they receive. And I also saw the challenges that come with being a pastor. And so I said, okay, I thank God that I'm born here. I've got to know God, but I don't want to be a pastor. And one of the things that really challenged me, that made me not want to be a pastor, was because of the responsibilities that I saw my parents carry. You are not only responsible for the spiritual lives of Christians, or even non-Christians, you are also responsible for their needs, social, physical, even the food, sometimes when they don't have food. And one serious thing that was really challenging to me was when we were growing up, and there was the war in Rwanda, this that led to genocide. And many people left Rwanda and came to Uganda as refugees. And whenever they would be moving in the villages and they asked people for help, they would send them to church. Go to the reverend's home. So they would come at church. And whether they have found us eating dinner or lunch, we share with them the food. So I was like, this kind of life of being responsible for those that you know and those that you don't know, I don't want to be one that is responsible for all that. So I said, let me be a lawyer, help those that I can help legally, make money, and I wanted really to make money, and then serve God by supporting the ministry at church, supporting pastors. So that was my goal, and indeed I became a lawyer. Just before I finished my law school training, God starts talking to me. My chaplain at university was so much, he was like, I want to see you go for ordained ministry. I said, no, I think I want to serve as a lawyer. Then, before I graduated, one night, it was an overnight prayer where people come, they pray throughout the night, they seek God. And one lady came and she met me during ministry and she set me aside. She said, let's sit here. And she told me, I've been looking for you for 3 months and I thank God that I've met you today. And she said, I had not planned to come for this prayer night, but God kept on telling me that I have to come. And when I came and I saw you playing the keyboard, I knew you are the reason why God compelled me to come. Because I've been looking for you for 3 months, and I didn't know where to find you. And I have a message for you. I was at the prayer mountain, and when I was praying, God gave me this vision of you. And he gave me a message for you. That the knowledge he has equipped you with, your training in law, you will not use that for legal practice. You are going to use it in serving God in the church. And then she said more words of how God is going to use me. And people will see that he is the one at work in me. And then she prayed for me. In the morning, we left. I went home. I prayed again, but really I did not think that I would still join the prayer ministry. I kept on telling myself, yeah, I can serve God as in other ways, but not as an ordained minister. not as a pastor. So when I finished law school, I actually looked for a job. I got a job with a Christian organization, and I was a national coordinator for the Peace and Justice program. And I was doing well. I was seeing a bright future in the organization. Even the leaders of the organization would tell me. And so I said, okay, I think I'm on the right path. But I was also active in church ministry, my local church. So one time, my pastor tells me, the church is in a season of recruiting people to go for the ordained ministry, and I think you should apply. I said, I will not apply because where I am serving, I'm happy there. And I see God blessing me. I don't want to join the ordained ministry. He said, but God can also bless you in the ordained ministry. I said, sir, I am a son of a pastor. I live in Kampala. I don't own a home. I pay rent. I pay school fees. And my experience with pastors, you are not even sure of the salary you will get at the end of the month. So I don't want to subject my family into that situation of lack. And so, but I brushed it off. But when I reached home and I told my wife, she said, why are you resisting? You apply. And this is a woman whom I had told before that God is calling me to join the ordained ministry. After I got that prophetic word, we were still dating. And she said, if you are going to be a pastor, I will not marry you. But then now I'm telling her that the pastor is telling me to apply. She says, why are you resisting? And then I realized, seems I am left alone. My wife, the pastor, and of course God had already been telling me, they are all pointing me to one direction. So you don't want to be like Jonah, who resisted God's call and he had to end up in the belly of a fish. So I picked the forms, I applied, but my intention was so that I show God that I'm not refusing. But I really wanted to fail the interviews. We were 40 people who did the interviews, and I was among the 2 that performed best, who got the scholarship. The Diocese of Kampala, which is the administrative structure of our church, wanted to sponsor only 2. And so now I was like on a hook. I have already showed that I have interest, though I was being deceptive, and they have chosen me. The bishop knows, the church leaders know. How can I say no now? And during those days, God started to speak to me, to work on me. I remember a song that was ringing in my heart, a song which I had last sung when I was in secondary school, like 10 years past. And the song says, trust and obey, for there is no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. It was in my heart. Even when I was sleeping, the song was coming. I am going to work, the song was coming. And one morning when I was going for work, the song was in my mind. And I was asking myself, why? And the voice told me, you are resisting God. You are not trusting him. You are not obeying him. You think that he cannot provide for you. And your lack of trust is causing your disobedience. And there is no other way you will be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. It was a clear message. I reached that office that day. I opened my computer, went to my email. I wrote my resignation email. I sent it to my country director, whom I had not told that I was doing interviews. That's how it happened. But I was still struggling with the issue of how I will provide for my family. School fees for my 2 children then, and then rent. But God has his ways of teaching us lessons. While I was at schools struggling, God had used a lady to write to me. She's a German lady who is a CEO of an NGO, a non-government organization or charity organization in Uganda, and is involved in supporting children who need school fees. So she wrote to me saying that she wants me to be on the board of directors for that organization in Uganda. But I said no. I was already on the different boards. I was the general secretary for Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. I was on the parish council of my church. I was on another board of another NGO. So I said, that is a lot already. And I have started theological studies. I don't want to disappoint you. So I resisted. And she said, I need you because someone told me that you are an honest man and I need you to be on my board. I said, but I may not perform as you expect. She said, even if you attend once in a year, you attend a board meeting once in a year, it will help me. I said, okay, since she's not going to put pressure on me, let me accept. So she made a trip to Uganda, and then she met me. She even visited me at my home, met my family. And when we went for the board meeting, because when she came, she said we would have a board meeting. After the board meeting, she said, don't worry about fees for your children. I'll pay for them school fees until you finish seminary. That was a 3 years course, Master of Divinity. And when she said that, I was like, oh, God, you are teaching me a lesson, taking away my stubbornness and foolishness. But that was not all. In the organization that I had been serving, I had organized a Christian lawyers conference. And some lawyers were coming from the USA joining us in Uganda. So when the organizer on the US side heard that I had resigned, she wrote to the country director asking if I could help at least have that conference take place. So the country director called me and asked me to give a few hours to the organization to organize, and then also 1 week to be part of the conference when the US attorneys come to Uganda. And I said, okay, I think I can manage to be away from the university for 1 week. And they came and we did the conference. And after the conference, I shared about how God is taking care of my school fees. But also they had asked me about everything that concerns me, my worries. How can they pray for me? I told them, pray for me about the rent. So when they came back, one of them wrote to me and said, Liberty, don't worry about rent. I'll pay your rent until you finish the theological course. And that's when God clearly made it clear to me that you have always misunderstood my ways of provision. You thought you are the one who provides for your family, but I am the one. I'm the one who gives you the ability to work and earn. So now that you are not working and you are studying, I will still provide as I have always provided. And that was great ministry to me. It has changed my perspective regarding God's provision and how I need to trust Him in all that I do. There are times when I have needs and the enemy is telling me, you should have done this and this. And I remember God has provided for you when you never expected. It is us who lack trust in Him, but He's always faithful, very faithful. Because the moment I handed in my dissertation, a job at a promotional level to be country director of an organization was waiting for me, while I also waited to be ordained at the end of the year. So the moment I finished the course and they were no longer going to send school fees and pay my rent, God had prepared a job for me. And I even with a vehicle, a fueled vehicle, God is amazing. I didn't have a vehicle before. I got it after obeying God and going to theological college for ordained ministry. And I come back. They say, this is your office. Here is the key. And I started serving. And by God's own arrangement, the church allowed me to continue to serve, to lead that organization because it was a Christian organization, as I also serve as a pastor in a church. Non-stipendary pastor, but paid my salary by the organization. And time came when God led me, again in His ways, really, not that I planned it. He led me to start this ministry called Equip and Send Ministries. There is a number of pastors that are out there leading churches, but they have no training at all. They don't have Bible study methods, knowledge. They have not been trained on how to get a message and deliver the message. And so they are teaching all sorts of things that come their way. But they are passionately serving. And the people, the Christians, are passionately following. But following someone who is teaching them a mixture of African traditional religion with Judaism, with Christianity, with astrology, following horoscopes, and they think all that is Christianity. And so God called us to train these pastors. We have a 3 years course for pastors that are untrained. One, they do not have money to go for Bible college. They can't afford. But also, even if they may afford, they don't have the academic qualifications to be admitted. And so we are training them. Bible study methods, Bible survey, servant leadership, forgiveness and reconciliation, trauma healing and awareness, pastoral counseling, then a pastor and the economic transformation of his people. How can a pastor participate in the lives of people spiritually, but also help them to see the resources around them and become good stewards so that they can earn a living and serve God better? We teach them about how can they respond to Islam as church leaders, as Christians, so that they are able to be good ministers. They are told to love everyone and draw them to Christ. You can't draw people to Christ by being an enemy. Yeah. You have to understand who they are. So that is a 3 years course for church leaders. But we also have annual general leadership conferences for church leaders. Again, we teach them on leadership. How can a pastor lead himself, then lead the family and lead the church? But also as we do that, we realize that there are other needs that the pastors go through. As I told you in the beginning, you do not only attend to the spiritual needs, but there are also physical needs. They pastor Christians who are so poor, and then the rich are taking advantage of them. So we have an access to justice component. But there are also pastors who are taking care of orphans, trying to do what they can, but they are not able. So we have an orphan care support program. And we have children on the website now that need to be supported. Our website is equipandsend.org. You will find there the programs that we do, testimonies of pastors that are being transformed, but you will also find the aspect of how to support children that are needed, and also how to donate to any ministry that you want. Is it the access to justice program? Is it the training of pastors? Is it the training of children, sponsoring them for education? Yeah, you'll find all that. And what is more encouraging for me throughout this whole journey is that how God has been leading me to where I am now. I realized that I could not have found peace anywhere else other than seeing a pastor who came with a mixture of beliefs, still believing in African traditional beliefs, mixing them with Christianity, having all that mixture. And then you start with him with the first week, and by the time they finish the 3 years, they have been transformed. They have a refined gospel. They are no longer teaching prosperity, promising blessings that are not real so that they can get money. You know, there's a number of them that are exchanging God's blessings for money. They use the pulpit to rob people by telling people lies. But they don't know better because they have mentors who are doing the same and they think that is success. When the pastor is rich, making a lot of money, they say he has become very successful. And they think that is Christianity. Yet it is a lie from the enemy, from the devil. And so when you have a group of such pastors, you are with them for 3 years and you teach them the truth of God's word. And by the end, they are testifying of how they now know how better to serve. You thank God, you see you are doing something. And you appreciate that God has called you. I appreciate that God has called me to participate in the building of his kingdom by equipping and discipling those who disciple others.